Hi, welcome back to episode 7 of the After the Bell podcast. That seems like quite a lot of episodes now. As always, you're joined by me and Harry, and today we've got an extra special episode with two guests who've come in. This is our second time we've had two guests on, but they're representing our sixth form, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and I think they did a really good job of it, to be honest. I think they both portrayed sort of their ideas and what they have planned for the future of our school.
Essentially, yeah, there are head boy and girl. I got deputy head boy, but yeah, they've come on to talk about like their plans, and it's a really good one, so carry on listening. However, before we get into that, we just wanted to mention our sponsored partnership with Thomas Verres, who's an author who has kindly contacted us to talk about his, it's not a new novel, I think it was out 2 years ago, Before I Won. Now, me and Harry have both been sent this novel. We've read it, and I enjoyed it. I don't know, I mean, you can speak for yourself.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a short read, about just 150 pages long. There's very little dialogue, and if you like a novel that's sort of descriptive and written at like a fast-paced writing style, I think you should definitely check this one out.
Yeah, what's nice about it is if you're not massively keen on writing, you can read this quickly, easily, and it's basically about a book that explores growing up and life experiences set in the streets of the Bronx. In America.
Yeah, 100%. Thomas speaks about sort of his physically abusive parents who like can't afford much at the beginning of the book, and it's sort of emotionally relatable.
Yeah, exactly. It's about, I mean, everyone grows up at some point, and we all face challenges, whether that's to do with money or parents or whatever, and that's what's nice about it, even though it's set, you know, the guy in it has quite a rough beginning, but he works his way up through the novel, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's hugely motivational, I find, yet sort of real and raw at the same time at the beginning. That's
why it hooked my attention as well, because I'm like into my motivational sort of books or videos or anything like that, and I think if he's sort of proving that if he can do it, why can't we? In a sense, I think there's a little quote at the start of the book actually that sort of says different little snippets that like sort of give you a different sort of outlook onto life, I guess.
I mean, I found this little quote I highlighted in the book, which says, "This isn't a reality show on TV; it's only reality," and that sort of goes for the whole book. It's deep. Yeah, it's trying to be real, and he's got a second book out, I think. Which I don't know what actually that explores, but I think it explores further into that real struggles faced by real people and not just celebrities talking about celebrity stuff. But I think it's definitely worth checking it out.
Yeah, so if you are interested, please check out Thomas's book. The link will be in the description where you can go onto Amazon and buy the book. Be sure to check out his Instagram and his website as well. This guy's a really nice guy, and he's done really well for himself with this novel.
It's really nice that he contacted us to speak about it, because we're happy to promote anything anyone wants. And yeah, it's a good book. So definitely check it out. Today's episode, as I said, we've got our head boy and head girl on, so we'll just go straight into that. And here is Ilsa and Tom talking about what they're going to do. Hi, today we have two really special guests. This is the second time we've had two guests on, but these two are good because they sort of like work hand in hand. We've got our head boy and our head girl, newly elected last week, I think it was, or will it be 2 weeks ago now, as like our sixth form representatives. So we've got Ilsa as head girl and Tom as head boy. How are you guys feeling about coming on to this?
Pretty great, yeah.
Tom?
I'm excited to be on your podcast.
I'd just like to point out we also have the deputy head boy in Harvey, and if you could fill my spot with deputy head girl, that'd be perfect, but then I feel like five people would be a bit over the top.
A little bit, yeah.
So, yeah, what made you both want to run for head girl, head boy, or whatever? Because you've both got your different reasons, but obviously you both got it, so you must have been doing something right. Ilsa, do you want to start?
I think I said this in my election video, but genuinely, in year 5, and me and Tom both went to the same primary school, So he'll know what I'm on
that's
about.
Kind of weird.
It really is. We're in the same form at sixth form as well, which I think is a bit weird. The house captains, and you didn't really get anything, but you did get a stripy tie, and I kind of wanted the stripy tie, and I was really, really upset because I didn't get it. And ever since then, I've been like, I want to be head girl, and nothing else would be good enough.
Yeah, so you've wanted this for a long time then, right, since primary school.
It's been a while.
But more for the tie rather than the actual position itself. Tom, what made you think you'd be any good at running for head boy?
Well, I wanted to represent students' voices, and I think that past head boys haven't done it as well, or I haven't felt in the younger years that actually my voice had any impact. And I wanted to give something back to the students who... It was a great culture at our school, and I think that giving something back would be the best way for me to contribute to the environment.
Yeah, I mean, being like running for a head boy position is one that comes with quite a bit of responsibility as well, and you're sort of representing all the students of the school, so I guess it's important that you're giving back to the students as much as you're representing the school externally.
I agree with that. So you both decided you wanted to run for the position, so the next step was sort of creating your manifesto and deciding policies. How did you go about that, Ilsa?
I think quite a lot of like my policy making was guided by like the situation that we're in at the moment, because I know it's like a bit of a cliche to say, but we're in unprecedented times, and it's a bit like no one really knows what's going on, so I wanted to make that the main focus of like what I was doing and what I could offer the school, because I think it is something that's on everyone's minds at the moment, like coming back to school, how are we going to do it, will it be safe? So I wanted to make sure that that was most of what I talked about, and then in terms of like my manifesto for qualities, I just said I was a great person, and hopefully that was enough.
I mean, of course, this time as well, we've obviously I campaigned as well for head boy, but we had to do it like through email basically, so making a manifesto electronically, sending out a video. Tom, how did you find that? Because you're not like the best at like technology stuff, are you?
No, not at all. So I spoke to the previous head boy, and I spoke to a group of 10 people, and we basically brainstormed ideas. And I also spoke to one teacher who nominated me, and she advised me. I had like a list of 6 ideas originally, and then when I wrote the speech, I went down to 3 because I figured that I spoke for like 5 minutes and I could only get 3 ideas in. So then she said that I should go with the digital planner idea, so that brought me to 4 ideas, and I managed to get it down so it'd be like 4 minutes 30 the speech. I also emailed all the teachers with like detailed plans of my policies. Harvey, I know I've emailed them to you, and also I will email them to you, but the thing was then to it was then so that I can show teachers that I'd planned it, and I was prepared to put the effort in.
Yeah. So you speak about effort, sort of, what was the like bottom line motivation for running for head boy? Was it the fact that you thought head boys previously had sort of mistreated their power, or was it something you'd always wanted to do?
I don't think it's a case of mistreating power. I think it's more of a case of they've not had enough of a say. They've not had enough like ability to think, I'll tell you what, I'll say what I think, I'll say what students think, or they didn't realise what students think, is my opinion. I think that we could have, and students, head boys before that could have said more what we was thinking, and that's what I would like to do.
I think it's nice that when coming up with your ideas to put on your manifesto about what you wanted to improve, you got together with a group of students and actually asked them. Ilsa, did you also ask people like their opinions and stuff like that?
I asked people, but obviously I've been at my school for 5 years and the 6th year being in our joint school, so I feel like I had a pretty good grip on what people wanted and what had been said in previous manifestos, and obviously they weren't videos before, but in speeches that hadn't really been achieved. So I was trying to kind of build on the work that other people have done and actually deliver something rather than say you're going to and then not deliver it, which I think is similar to what Tom said, really.
Yeah, it's nice that you both want to deliver what you're promising on, and it's not just for show, that position either.
Yeah, so it's Wednesday last week.
Yeah.
You've just woke up. You've seen the results. How were you both feeling? Was it a initial like excitement or nerves, or what was the initial feeling like?
Well, you got sent an email, but we actually had a Google Meet. So every single candidate that had been running was added to this call with Miss... I cannot say their names, can I?
No, just like...
with the head of the sixth form.
Yeah, our sixth form like teachers were like organised this video meeting, didn't they?
Yeah, and we're all sat there, and I was kind of expecting them to do like a drum roll or something, and they just went, head girl is blah, deputy is blah, head boy, and I was like, Jesus Christ, they didn't mess about with that, did they?
I didn't know that,
It was terrifying.
So you all just sat there? So if you didn't, like, there'll have been a handful of people who didn't, like, sort of get any position, did they just sort of leave the call? Like,
I felt like it was a little bit awkward, like, it was a good 5 or 10 minutes after she'd announced it, and we were still all there because they were just talking to us, and I was like, if I hadn't been head girl, I would have... Obviously, I wouldn't have been crying on the call, but it must be really, really awkward. And I was like...
There was a lot more girls running for head girl as well, so surely that was made the results a bit more kind of daunting.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there was more girls running than boys? Do you think that was just like more people sort of wanted change in the girls' school, or like just more boys were uninterested in
the role? What do you think, Tom?
I think that's the case. I think most of the boys being through the lower school, I think that's definitely the case, that they realise that head boys generally have little impact, that you just see them at ceremonies and that's it. There's no real, like, you don't see them in forms, or you don't see them going to school games and asking people what they think and what they want. So I think that they all realised that head boy really doesn't do much in itself at the minute. And so I think most of them would think it's just effort that didn't need to be happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think more people running though is nicer as well, because like Ilsa, you've already started contacting people who didn't get the final position, didn't you?
Yeah, because I felt like I can't say that I'm giving back to the school and making sure that everyone's voices are heard if I don't take into account other nominees' like ideas, because they're clearly good ideas, otherwise they wouldn't have been up there running. So I thought a really great idea would be to get them to help me to help the school in a way that hopefully benefits not just me but everybody in the school, because it's a variety of ideas.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's really nice. And it allows people who feel like, who wanted their voice to be heard. Their voice is still being heard.
Yeah.
So that's great. Are you two worried about like your duties, like going forward in the next year, pending that we're all going back to school as normal, say in September? How do you feel about having to like perform speeches and speak to like parents and younger students, Tom?
I think it's more of an opportunity more than pressure. I think it's a good chance to develop both of our skill sets and your skill set, Harvey, in speaking. And I think for whatever we go on to do in the future, it's a good opportunity for that to happen. And also to represent people's views. I think you feel a sense of responsibility, don't you, to actually represent them and not just say yes to every single idea.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the seeing it as an opportunity more than daunting, because I feel like speaking, it's all about the confidence. Even if you're not confident, if you act confident, that'll make your speech 10 times better, because like being able to speak in front of a large crowd is a task that not many people can do and not many people are willing to do. But if you go in with the right mindset about it, then you shouldn't need much like preparation or sort of practice. It should just feel natural.
Yeah, definitely. Ilsa, do you feel like you have that sort of natural confidence that's needed to fulfill that role, or is it something you're going to have to work on with the experience you're going to get?
Well, I think you kind of know the answer to this because you're in my English class. I'm not a quiet person. I think in the 7 years of primary school we had together, Tom will know that I'm not really a quiet person either. And I don't really... Obviously, I do get nerves, like, standing up in front of a group of people, but realistically, they probably won't remember after a couple of weeks if I do mess up. And I think I can always deliver a good speech in any situation, really. 'Cause my dad used to do debate competitions, and he's got like tons of trophies, so maybe I've just like inherited his natural wonderful speaking ability.
Yeah.
What are the plans to change school then? I know you've got some like top bullet point sort of manifesto points, both of you, to sort of change both sites. So if you start with you, Tom, what would be your main areas you're looking into, sort of 2 or 3?
The main areas, and I had a meeting with one teacher today about the Wellbeing Union, which is when we want Year 12 and 13 students to help people with revision or with just coming up to secondary school. I think we've been through it ourselves. It's a way to give back for everyone. For the J6, I want more coffee access. I want a ping pong table access for the J6 so that we can use the success of the other schools' ping pong table and have it at both sites. And finally, I want a digital planner, which is a big change, but I've got most of SLT on board with that. And we should start to see it around February and Easter, where we'll start to see it being phased in.
Specifically about this Wellbeing Union thing, what would that actually do? Because other schools might have something similar. What is that?
So the Wellbeing Union will be Year 12 and 13 students, and what we want to do is also to improve the Year 12 and 13's personal statements, but also to help people. You know, we do Saturday school, don't we, to help with revision coming up to GCSEs, if we have GCSEs next year. But the priority would be to give them ways in which to improve themselves, both as a person and academically, and to help them improve by giving experience that maybe teachers don't understand. Teachers don't understand students as well as maybe peers will. And so it's just an extra support mechanism framework for people to make sure that they have the best possible experience at grammar.
So it's about that student-to-student contact rather than just always teachers helping out.
Yeah, I think I had people from the year below ask me revision techniques and ask me for advice this year, and it's just more like a formal mechanism of what that was, really. And so that's really something I'd want to introduce.
Yeah, I think you brought up some good points there. I definitely like the phase into using technology for the planner as well. I feel like that's definitely ideal moving forward because it reduces the paper costs and all the environmental issues there, which is good. Ilsa, are your sort of points similar to his, or?
Yeah, funnily enough, I didn't even realise about your kind of like, obviously I knew about the digital planner, but I hadn't realised that me and Emily, the deputy, have just done a virtual suggestions box on Google Forms.
Oh, that's great.
Instead of having one, like a physical box, because obviously no one can access it at the moment for a start. And we were saying that as a child, do you really want to write something down on a piece of paper and put it in a box? No, you don't. So we've set that up as it should be getting distributed over the next few days if the head teacher gives it the approval. But I found it quite funny how we hadn't really discussed that together, but me and Tom have both managed to do like digital things already.
It's good to see.
Well, it's like Harry said, it's quite important that the school moves forward as well as everything else.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that I didn't know about that, and you've already started doing stuff within 2 weeks of getting the position. That's great.
So how do you know that the other students are on board with these ideas? You know, despite the fact that you've been voted in, which is obviously shows that they're behind the idea. Have you both spoke to sort of fellow students along the way, or has it just been sort of a individual run, Ilsa?
Well, since being like voted in, I think I've spoken to tons of members of our year group that I probably wouldn't have spoken to on like a daily basis, just to check that like I'm doing the right thing, that I'm doing the best job that I can to represent them, not just the best job I can to represent myself as a good head girl, if that makes sense. And in particular, I've been speaking to Harvey's girlfriend,
who was actually on the podcast 2 weeks ago.
She was. I haven't watched that one yet. Don't fight
me. Yeah, what about you, Tom? Have you been speaking to people recently after the position, or just sort of plain sailing?
No, I've spoke to J6 students in general, and they were confused. It seemed to me that there was a large proportion that were confused as to what the situation was going back to school. And I managed to get a meeting with the assistant head teacher, which happened this morning, for my questions from the J6 to be answered. So hopefully we can provide a bit of clarity with that. And I've also emailed all of the lower school, and I've had quite a few questions from them about possibly improving school dinners. One person suggested Tommy Coyle boxing. Can I look into that? And one person suggested hockey.
What is that?
Basically, what I understand is that Tommy Coyle, the boxer, he goes into Hornsey Primary School and teaches boxing there.
Right.
And he said that there was classes that outside of school that students go to. So he wanted to see if that could be implemented at grammar. So I've got to get in touch with the relevant teachers. And he also wanted hockey as a option for, like, in year 10 and year 11 you don't have like a set curriculum, do you, as in year 9, 8 and 7. So he wanted to see if hockey could be one of the things that we have a go at.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be out of the school's possibility, because I know moving up the secondary school in like GCSE PE and just PE throughout the normal school, we had like, you know, Great Britain contenders from like the Olympics who would come in and like teach classes, so that's definitely achievable. But say that isn't achievable for you to accomplish as like the head boy, head girl position. What do you think your method would be to sort of get back to a kid and sort of tell him, sorry, we're unable to do this? What would be your approach there?
I'd personally be really upfront with them and be honest with what the problems were, what the explanation from the teachers were. I don't think that we need to sugarcoat things for students. We just got to give them the answers as it is, whether they like it or not. That's what the answer is.
And that's the main thing. It's about being honest with the students, because I feel like in previous years, like you said, Gati, a head boy would promise something and then he wouldn't deliver it, and then when asked, he just sort of wouldn't give you a straight up answer. And I feel like, you know, it's the same with sort of politicians or anyone in high power. They promise you something, they don't give you it. You ask them, they're dishonest. But as long as you
the question.
Dodging the question. But as long as you with your head boy, head girl positions are honest, that's the main thing.
I mean, Ilsa, how do you feel sort of going up against that school system that has got so many rules of why they shouldn't change something, and of why they should just stick to what they usually do? How do you feel trying to change stuff in that? Do you feel it's just sort of not worth trying, or do you feel motivated to at least bring about some sort of change? I
think if you're not motivated to bring about some sort of change, then you shouldn't be in this position, because this position is not one to, okay, I've been elected, I'm going to do nothing now. If you're not motivated to bring about change, then you should not be doing this. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. Like Tom's saying, he's had meetings with teachers and already like run into some issues within 2 weeks of being in the job. But, well, job, not like we're getting paid. But I think it is, you have to try. You've got to talk to people high up. You've got to talk to the teachers. You've got to talk to everybody, because if you're not trying to improve the school, and I'm trying my best to change the school so it'll stay that way after I'm gone and keep on improving even when hopefully I'm off at uni.
Yeah.
I think it's completely necessary to improve it, even if teachers think that it's, you know, okay. I don't think it's not good enough. It needs to get better all the time.
Exactly. It's nice to have something that would be like a lasting change as well, that even after you've left school, it's still carried on, of something you implemented to help people. And I'm sure most people would really appreciate that.
Harvey, with the deputy head role, we sort of haven't brushed upon the deputies' roles. So how does that differ to the head role? Do you still have sort of like the same sort of... will you stay in contact with the heads and sort of still put forward your ideas? Is it just the heads that would sort of put forward that idea to everyone else, or do you still have as much? Because I don't actually know. I'm just wondering how much power the deputies have as well.
I think what I've gauged as being deputies, and maybe Emily would agree, the head girl deputy is less of a representative and more of ideas, and the best head boys and girls are the ones that work well with us. And so far, we've been working as a team, or especially the head girl unit and then head boy unit. Tom has been talking to me about ideas, keeping me in the loop. I'm not just there as sort of, it's second place, but it's not just that. You're on a team and you're both striving to make that change happen, of what you want to change in school. So that's what I feel my responsibility is.
Do you all feel there's an added pressure now to sort of do well academically as well, like an extra sort of drive to sort of work hard, get your work done, because you're, at the end of the day, you are role models to like all the students. So do you feel, Tom, that there's an added sort of pressure there? Because I know you're very academically on the ball anyway, but do you feel there's that added pressure?
No, I wouldn't say there's added pressure. I think I put enough pressure on myself to do well, and I think the university grades, or whatever the entrance requirements are, I think that'll put enough pressure on for me to make sure I work. I don't think that being head boy necessarily puts more pressure on, and I don't think if you're not head boy or deputy head boy, then I don't think there's less pressure. I think ultimately we're all trying to go to a high apprenticeship or uni, so you've got to meet the requirements for them.
Yeah. And I sort of think you've brushed upon it nicely. I think there's a misconception that you have to be really smart to get a head boy role or a deputy head or any sort of role there. I think it's more sort of your sort of work ethic, even if you're not like academically, gifted. If you've got a good work ethic, I think you've got just as much of a chance of like gaining one of those roles as anyone else does.
True. Thanks you two for coming on to talk about this new position that you've got. But moving on to the film/TV show of the week round.
Very excited.
So Tom doesn't really watch much TV or films, do you, Tom?
Oh.
No, you should know that.
No time for that.
Tom, you don't know some of the most obvious... I mean, have you ever seen Star Wars?
Nope.
Harry Potter? No.
Nope.
Star Wars? No.
Nope.
Any big franchise that any other human on the planet had seen? Nope.
Nope. None of that.
Disappointment.
I think it's probably best I talk to Ilsa about what film have you watched this week?
Okay, well, I didn't technically watch it this week, but I don't really care because I really enjoyed it. It's called The Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's a French film, but there's subtitles, so I wasn't really bothered. And it's about 3 kind of women on an island in the middle of France, in the middle of nowhere, and 2 of the women fall in love, and it's wonderful.
It's a bit of a arty film, but I went to see it in cinemas. I don't think you did you, Ilsa?
No, unfortunately, I did not.
Well, I really enjoyed it too. It's a slow film, but you find that the payoffs, like the parts where you want there to be something happens, and I especially like the ending. What did you like about it?
I really, really enjoyed the ending. Can I spoil it? Or...
Yeah, go on, just do it.
I liked how, even though they weren't together, there was still like the lasting sense of their love throughout the film, and especially like the final scene where they're at the orchestra, which was mentioned right at the beginning of the film. I thought was like a really lovely way to end it.
Yeah, I mean,
satisfying.
It's set in the 18th century, I'm pretty sure, and obviously like a love story between 2 women wouldn't have been exactly known about there, and the whole premise of it was about a painting being made to send to marriage arrangement, but it's this painter and this young woman who's getting herself painted that fall in love, and it is really sweet.
It don't really sound like the type of film I'd sort of choose to watch, but you're definitely sort of selling the sort of the cinematic, and like I do appreciate a good film for like its sort of like visuals, like how it looks, like how well it's like produced and everything like that, and it does sound very like professional in that kind of sense. So I might have to give it a watch, but
I think you should.
Yeah, I don't think Garty's on board.
I will not be watching it. Premier League's back tomorrow, so there will be no watching.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Harry, especially for like most boys probably don't think of going to the cinema to see a French foreign language love story that's set in the 18th century. Like,
definitely not
your classic film that maybe you would see. But of course, I did, and Ilsa obviously watched it at home, and we really enjoyed it. So you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Even if you just want to look at the pretty ladies on the screen, I think that's completely reasonable.
Yeah, I think I'm with Tom on this one. I think the Premier League sort of takes priority there. Well, we're going off track, so I think that's a good place to round it off. Thank you very much for coming on and talking about your new positions. I hope to see many a change and many a sort of progress into the future of sixth form.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And there we have it. That was our head boy and head girl's little insight into what they have planned for the school. Do you think they did a good job?
I think they did a great job. And it was good practice as well for like going forward as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's great for obviously the speaking practice and everything. So yeah, make sure to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. If you're listening on YouTube or on any other platforms, make sure to drop that rating. As we also said before, be sure to check out Before I Won. You can
definitely
buy the book on Amazon. It should be linked in the description. And make sure to follow our Instagram after the bell. Don't think there's much else less to plug.
No, I think that's everything.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Great, thanks.